They say the desert remembers everything. Every footstep, every betrayal, every scream swallowed by the wind. But some secrets the desert tries to warn you about. When Ethan Harlow, a wandering historian, followed an old Apache trail no outsider had touched in a century, he thought he was hunting a forgotten legend. He didn't know the legend was hunting him back. Somewhere between the rust-red cliffs of Arizona and the shadow-carved canyons, he heard it for the first time. The whisper. A voice that didn't belong to any living soul. And once you hear the Apache whisper, it never stops. Chapter 1: The Forbidden Trail. Ethan Harlow had dedicated his life to studying forgotten tribes, shattered cultures, and half-buried truths. But nothing obsessed him like the Whisper Trail, a path whispered about in dying journals and banned from all maps, a place where the Apache believed the boundary between life and death became thin as desert smoke. Ethan first heard the story from a retired ranger who warned him never to step there. Some trails were made for spirits, son, not for human boots. But Ethan never listened to warnings. Curiosity is a gentle word for obsession. He spent months piecing clues from broken manuscripts, spiral symbols, identical rock markings, faded sketches of an Apache whisperer, a spiritual guardian believed to protect forbidden knowledge. Every document mentioned the same thing. The whisper comes to those who disturb the trail. But Ethan mistook this as metaphor, superstition, mythology. He learned too late it wasn't. On a dry October morning, he slung a leather pack over his shoulder, checked his old camera, and stepped into the desert. Straight into a story he wouldn't be allowed to leave. Chapter 2: Signs at Sundown. By midday, the trail felt wrong. Not dangerous. Not haunted. Just wrong. The desert was too quiet. Not a raven, not a lizard, not even the wind moving through the brittle brush. It felt as if every creature had already heard what he had not. Ethan reached a row of spiral petroglyphs carved into a cliff. Symbols he had seen in the journals. But these were fresh. Too clean, too sharp. Someone, or something, had carved these recently. And then he noticed a second set of markings beneath them. A line of small handprints. Children's hands. He felt a chill. Ethan snapped photos, documenting everything. His academic instinct pushed him forward. His human instinct begged him to turn back. At sunset, the sky turned blood orange. Shadows stretched long and alive across the canyon floor. That's when he heard it. Soft, thin, carried by the wind. A whisper. He turned, half expecting someone behind him. No one. Only silent cliffs. He listened again. The wind wasn't moving, yet the whisper grew clearer. A faint murmur in Apache, a language he only partially understood, but one word repeated again and again. Return. Ethan froze. Return. He should have. He didn't. Chapter 3: The Guardian Emerges. Night fell faster than normal, as if the sky wanted him in darkness. Ethan set camp near a rocky alcove, but sleep refused to come. His fire crackled unnaturally loud in the silence. Around midnight, he saw movement in the distance, a human silhouette standing perfectly still. Tall, lean, motionless. The fire's glow revealed details slowly. Braids adorned with feathers, ceremonial paint across the cheeks, a traditional Apache lance held vertically like a warning. But the figure didn't walk. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Ethan whispered to himself. Spirit? No. I'm imagining things. But the silhouette raised a hand, slowly, intentionally. A gesture of warning. Ethan spoke shakily. Who's there? No response, just a long, slow tilt of the head, as if the figure studied him. Ethan blinked, and the figure vanished, not faded, not walked, just gone. The whisper returned. Louder this time. Return, return, return. Ethan didn't sleep that night. Chapter 4. The Cave of Echoes. The next morning, Ethan followed fresh tracks, barefoot impressions too large for a woman, too narrow for a man. They led him to a narrow opening in a cliff wall, a cave hidden behind thick brush. Inside, the air felt colder than the desert should allow. He raised his flashlight. The cave walls were covered floor to ceiling in painted scenes, warriors, animals, rituals, storms. But one repeated image stopped him. A lone warrior with a streak of white paint across his face, always standing beside a swirling cloud of smoke. The Apache Whisperer. A guardian of forbidden knowledge. The final drawing showed him standing over a fallen outsider, palm raised, as the desert wind coiled around the intruder like a serpent. As Ethan leaned in to study the final mural, something moved behind him. A breath. Cold. Close. He spun around. Nothing. But the whisper curled around his ears again. "Return before he sees you," he shuddered. "Before who sees me?" A deeper whisper answered, not a warning this time. A threat. The Guardian. Chapter 5. Hunting the Historian. Outside the cave, Ethan saw the impossible. Fresh tracks, human, large, deeply pressed into the earth, indicating someone heavy or someone angry. They circled his camp, hours old at most. Then he saw the remains of his fire pit, ashes not scattered, but pushed into the shape of a spiral, the same spiral as the petroglyphs. Someone was communicating. Ethan whispered, "Why are you following me?" The desert whispered back without sound. By noon, Ethan climbed a ridge to get a better vantage point. As he turned, the Guardian stood on the opposite cliff, only 50 meters away. An O wind and O sound, but his feathers swayed as if something breathed behind him. Ethan raised his hands. "I'm not here to steal. I'm here to learn." The Guardian slowly lifted his lance, pointing it directly at Ethan. The meaning was crystal clear. Leave now. For the first time, Ethan's resolve cracked. But the obsession inside him was stronger. He stepped closer. The Guardian vanished again. Chapter 6. The Whisper's Truth. At dusk, Ethan found a second cave, this one hidden beneath an overhang of rock shaped like a jagged jaw. Inside, he found bones. Dozens. Not animal. Human. Skulls stacked in ceremonial spirals, ribs arranged like fans, femurs laid in perfect lines. An underground tomb. He whispered, "What happened here?" A gust of ice-cold wind rushed through the cave and extinguished his lantern. Then, footsteps. Behind him. Slow. Heavy. Purposeful. He couldn't see, but he felt the presence towering over him. A male voice, deep, broken like an old drum, spoke behind him. "You should not have come." Ethan froze. This voice wasn't a whisper. This was the Guardian. Chapter 7. The Forbidden Knowledge. The Guardian didn't attack. Instead, he lit a torch with a flint strike, revealing his face for the first time. Paint streaked white across his eyes. Feathers that looked older than time. Wrinkles carved like canyon lines. This was no ghost. No spirit. A human. A surviving member of a secret Apache line sworn to protect the trail. He spoke slowly. "Outsider. You walk where even my people forbid themselves." Ethan swallowed. "I only want to understand. I want history to remember you." The Guardian's eyes softened, painfully, cautiously. "No. History remembers too much. These bones," he gestured around, "belong to those who sought power, not truth. The whisper is not a legend. It is a warning." Ethan asked, "What is the whisper?" The Guardian's voice dropped low. "The voices of the ones who died here. Their final breaths carried by the wind. Those who betray the trail, never truly leave it." Ethan felt cold in his bones. "What do they want?" The Guardian turned sharply. To protect what is buried here. To keep outsiders away from the truth. Ethan asked. What truth? The Guardian hesitated. Then he answered. That the trail is alive. Chapter 8. The Wrath of the Trail. Before Ethan could question him, the wind rose violently, whipping dust into the cave. The torch flickered wildly. The Guardian's eyes widened in fear. They come! Whispers filled the cave, hundreds, chaotic, rising like a storm. Return, return, outsider. Leave, leave. The whisper wasn't one voice. It was many, dozens, maybe hundreds. The Guardian grabbed Ethan's arm and pulled him into a narrow tunnel. We must leave. Now! They burst from the cave into the night, the wind screaming behind them. Shapes moved in the darkness, human silhouettes forming from dust, from smoke, from memory. They chased Ethan. Not the Guardian. Only Ethan. Why only me? Ethan cried. The Guardian answered, because you disturbed their resting place. You took what you should not have. Ethan panicked. I didn't take anything. The Guardian looked down at Ethan's backpack. Your camera. Inside were images, images the spirits never wanted the outside world to see. Chapter 9. The Final Choice. The desert storm grew violent, the whispers now deafening. Ethan fell to his knees, overwhelmed. The Guardian stood between him and the swirling spirits. You must return what you have taken. Ethan didn't want to destroy his research. It was the greatest discovery of his life. But the spirits moved closer, forming the faces of soldiers, settlers, explorers, outsiders who had died here. Their mouths moved in unison. Return or stay forever. The Guardian shouted, Now, outsider. Choose. Ethan pulled out his camera with shaking hands and smashed it against a rock. The spirits screamed, a sound like wind tearing through bone, and dissolved into the desert air. Silence returned, heavy, absolute. The Guardian lowered his head. It is done. Chapter 10. The Whisper That Follows. In the morning, the Guardian led Ethan back to the edge of the trail. This is as far as you go, he said. You were spared. Do not return. Ethan nodded, shaken to the core. He walked miles back to civilization, not daring to look back. But when he reached his truck, he paused. A breeze passed by, soft, cold, familiar, and on the wind he heard it. Return. Ethan froze. He whispered to himself, No, never again. But the Apache whisper didn't care. It had found him. And once you hear the whisper, it never stops.